got magic, I've got hoodoo, I got things I ain't even tried. And I've got friends on the other side. What is up, guys? Welcome back to 31 Days of Halloween. In this video, I'm going to be going over this Voodoo skull mask, which is heavily inspired by Dr. Facilier from Princess and the Frog. So if you want to see how to do this, then just keep watching and let's get started. So to start, I'm running a glue stick through both of my brows. This is going to give a barrier between the hairs and the latex because my personal preference is I like my eyebrows on my face. And then quickly, I'm just applying my normal foundation all over my face. And then powder everything. Using an eyebrow marker, I'm starting to map out where I want this skull mask to be. I'm using Dr. Facilier as reference, but I'm also taking some creative freedom, so do what you want. Now to actually make the skull. So to do this, I am first laying down a light layer of liquid latex, then taking a cotton ball that I unrolled and laying it down on that. I pull off any overhanging cotton, and then just douse it in latex. With cotton and latex, you're almost never gonna get a completely smooth texture. In this case, it works out really well to have that texture because I want this mask to look a little bit beat up and homemade. I'm also not blending it into my skin because I want this to look like an actual mask that is stuck down to my face rather than something that's a part of my face. So I'm just continuing this for the entire mask. For the majority of this, I did use a sponge to lay everything down, but for some areas that needed more detail work or just were being really stubborn, I would use the handle of a paintbrush, and that worked so well. For example, I used the handle of a paintbrush to really carve out the shape around the eyes. You can choose if you want to use something else for the teeth to make them look more realistic, like if you wanted to use polymorph plastic or something like that. I just chose to stick with cotton and latex. I just used smaller pieces of cotton and rolled one side so it looked more like a tooth. And then I stuck it down and tried my best to coat it with as much latex as I could. This is one part of the mask where I definitely would advise using a spatula or the end of a brush or something else besides a sponge because you gotta get into some really small nooks and crannies, and a sponge is not your best choice for that. Once I got the preliminary mask down, I noticed that there are some areas that could be built up bigger to look more symmetrical with everything, so I just went back and added more cotton and latex to those pieces. And then while I was waiting for that to dry, I just went in and did some quick eye makeup. I would advise to do the eye makeup before you start the mask because it will be a lot easier to make everything look nice and pretty. When I started, I didn't really have an idea for what I wanted to do with the eyes, so I left them alone until now. And for that part of the makeup, I just did a simple kind of red, grungy, smoky eye sort of deal. I also added some eyeliner off camera later on, and now you just gotta wait and let it all dry. One way to make it dry faster is to use a blow dryer. The other way is to just chill out, eat some food, stay hydrated. You can eat and drink with this, so that's good. Once it was pretty much all dry, I went in and started on the paint job. So I started with a white water-activated body paint and watered it down a ton. I did that so it actually sink into the texture rather than just sit on top of it. And I also did it because I didn't want it to be completely pure white. I did want a tiny bit of that yellow to show through just because it would look a little bit more aged and weird. Then I went in with a gray body paint and started to roughly shade all the places I knew was going to have shading. So I put that around the eye sockets, emphasized where that brow bone would be, shaded basically around the entire mask. I also put it in the nose holes. That's not the correct terminology, and I don't care. And I also shaded the sides of each tooth with it. You could just leave it plain white if you wanted to, but I wanted to break it up and give it more dimension. Then, once all that body paint was dry, I went in with some gray and dark brown eyeshadows and went over all of those areas that I just shaded. And if you feel like some shading went a little overboard, you can just go in with the white body paint and re-highlight. Then I went around the edges one more time with the brown and gray eyeshadows. If you feel like there are some parts that the shading just got away from you, you can just go in with some foundation and clean it up and blend it all together to look more natural. Because there is already gray body paint on my skin in those nose holes, when I put my foundation over it, it just gave it this flat color, but I like how it turned out because it kind of made the nose look like it was also part of the mask. Lastly, I put on a brown wig, applied some black liquid lipstick to my lips, and popped in some creepy contacts. So that is it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you want to, feel free to subscribe to see the rest of these 31 days of Halloween. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!